Jay, that's strangely close to Daniel Jones from the Giants. Daniel, is that you? Beat the Chiefs. Show me. If the Broncos and Russell Wilson can show me that they can beat the Chiefs, then I will start believing.
The crowd up. And so are this defense, and Kansas City won't snap the ball again. The Denver Broncos have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs.
David Montgomery on the Lions, former Bear, gonna make this his revenge game for sure. David Montgomery gets the touchdown that ices the game. No! And there's a flag. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. Snap. Hold. Kick.
Denver wins! Denver wins! Let's go!
They open. No!
What happened? Oh shit.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the only football podcast. Tonight, we are doing our predictions for Conference Championship Sunday. We're also going to give you our top four power rankings of the remaining playoff teams. And of course, we're going to end it off with the Chives with Kyle. Oh, let's get it. America is football.
America is America. And if you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass for the moment in time. I don't give a damn. Oh my god.
No.
You loved it.
It's 30 to 27.
No!
Chiefs win. Chiefs
No!
win 30 to 20. Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Only Football Podcast and Conference Championship Weekend.
Let's go.
I'm fired up.
I'm fired the fuck up.
Okay, is there any way that you're even entertaining the idea that Buffalo, Kansas City's the Super Bowl? Meaning whoever wins this is going to win it all anyway? Or do you feel like, it's a little disrespectful to the Philadelphia Eagles? Like, where are you at with those statements? I've seen those statements, so.
I was going to say, like, I feel like the AFC champion has probably the better chance, regardless of who it is. If it's Buffalo, we've seen them dominate. If it's the Chiefs, they're going for the three-peat, and we've seen them win under even worse circumstances that they've been in. But yeah, I mean, Philly has got Saquon. The Commanders have Jayden Daniels. So I think it is just a tad bit disrespectful to just call it the AFC champion is a Super Bowl winner. Yeah.
Yeah, if anything, I think last week would have been a better one for that. I mean, the Ravens and the Bills, I really felt like, man, those might be the two best teams. But I feel really strong about the Eagles. I really do. I mean, they're playing really good ball. Now, there's some concerns with the Eagles right now. And it's, of course, the quarterback, Jalen Hurts, and we'll get to that. But when you look at this game, immediate reaction, do you feel like there's one team that you're like, I'm leaning this way? Like, I could make an argument for the other team, but like immediately when I look at this game, this is the direction I'm feeling. Or is it like the Bills and Ravens where you're just kind of like, I could talk about this game for a while and still not know where to go? I mean, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I think I'm leaning more towards like I'm not entirely sure, like of a clear winner, just because there are a lot of things you can say on each side, on each team here. You can make an argument for both of these guys.
Yeah, you really can. And let's go into this game. Let's talk about it, because the winner of this game will be in the frackin' Super Bowl. And one of those teams has a rookie quarterback. playing.
Yep.
I think at this point, Jayden Daniels might have the number 1 spot on best rookie quarterback seasons of all time.
Yeah, he's up there.
If he wins this game, it's solidified. There is no like, oh, but what about? No, we've seen quarterbacks in their like second year do it. Like Mahomes was young. And Mahomes was interesting too because like we knew going into his second year as a starter that he was ridiculously good because his first year as a full-time starter ended up losing to Tom Brady in, what was that, the AFC Championship game, I think?
No. He lost to Brady and the Bucks in the Super Bowl. Are you talking about?
It was when Tom was still with the Patriots, and I think it was 2017. And the Patriots went on to the Super Bowl. I think they played the Rams that year.
Yes, that is correct. Yep. It was like a 12-9 game or whatever.
Yeah, worst Super Bowl ever.
Yeah.
But it's like we always knew Mahomes, Ben Roethlisberger comes to mind. Jayden Daniels, though, would be in uncharted territory where it's like, yeah, those guys, you knew their rookie year, but they didn't get to that game. Like, and if one was to do it, I really feel like there's 2 ways it can happen. It can happen because your quarterback is freaking amazing, or it can be the exact situation Brock Purdy was in. I think Brock Purdy could have taken the 49ers to the Super Bowl his rookie year if he didn't break his elbow in the NFC Championship game. So if Brock would have done it, like, it would have been really impressive. People would have found a way to put Jayden's season above anyway.
Yeah.
Probably because the Commanders were expected to win 6 games going into this year.
Yep.
And there's only 2 teams playing football. If I would have told you that out of the 2 teams that play in Maryland, one of them would still be playing in the conference championship game, you would say Ravens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what's funny is because like Maryland is totally like divided. Like, those are Commander fans. We're Raven fans. Like, we got the better franchise. And it's like a real rivalry that people don't think of when they think like Packers, Bears, because it's not divisional, it's state.
Yeah.
And in Florida, you don't have that. Like, the Dolphins and Jags don't care about that. But for some reason,
so fair, yeah.
In Maryland, they do, probably because they're like 45 minutes away from each other. So it's like, no. This 45 minutes, like this small radius, it's territory is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So the fact that the Commanders are still in it and the Ravens are bounced is wild. And I bet things are getting real weird in Maryland right now. Now, like, this is a divisional game, so we've seen this twice. Once was, I mean, we've had a tale of 2 games. You got one with Kenny Pickett where the Commanders looked pretty good. I mean, they made a ton of mistakes. The Eagles looked pretty good with Kenny Pickett. They still put up 30-plus points. Jayden comes back. Game-winning drive, seals the deal. And then you have another game where the Commanders end up losing to the Eagles. Saquon Barkley goes off, has a day, and they can't really do anything to stop them. Washington scores like 10 points in the game, I think it was. And so the one where the Commanders won, I think they held Saquon Barkley in rushing yards. So that's going to be the number one thing. We mentioned it last week. If you take away the big plays from the Eagles didn't get into the red zone that many times. I think it was only 4 times. So can you limit the big plays? Well, where are the big plays coming from? They're coming from Saquon Barkley almost every single week, it seems. So that's got to be the game plan. Everybody knows this. I mean, it's not a mystery. Green Bay knew it. Last week, it was known by the Rams. Didn't matter. Can the Commanders come and actually limit Saquon Barkley? We'll start there.
It's going to be tough because we saw what the Lions did to this Commanders defense last week. They won the game, but this was because of Jayden Daniels, because of Terry McLaurin, because of De'Ami Brown, because of Zach Ertz, and that offense. The defense, though, like one of the strong points that we had talked about leading up to that divisional game was the secondary is actually a lot better. And they were getting to Goff. They got turnovers. They won. I think they won the turnover battle, if I'm not mistaken, in that divisional round. But you still let up over 500 yards of offense and 31 points on the board. So if they're going to limit Saquon, it's got to be. I mean, it's got to be in the run game, obviously, but we got to remember too, Saquon and Jalen Hurts, they're both very dynamic. You can pass the ball to Saquon, get him open in space, and make some stuff happen through the air. Because yes, you can kind of make the Eagles one-dimensional in terms of let's let Jalen Hurts beat us with his arm. Let's not let Saquon and Jalen Hurts beat us with their legs. Let's do it with his arm. And if they go vice versa, then it's like, all right, well, now you are letting up the two guys who basically won the divisional round last week with explosive 50-plus yard runs that led to those 3 touchdowns. I don't know if the Commanders defense is going to be up for it. I think that is going to be their biggest struggle, is letting Saquon, in a sense, run all over them. But we got to remember too, it's Dan Quinn who's the head coach, and he's a defensive guy. He's also looking at this tape, right, and making sure that, okay, if we can contain him for, limit him a little bit, Saquon, and we can win the turnover battle again. And we got Jayden Daniels, coming off a week in the playoffs where he played extremely well, had great poise, was slinging the ball down the field, and was making exceptional plays and extending plays with his legs, which is what he does. So I think Dan Quinn's looking at this and being like, we can't stop these guys. We can really only contain them. It was difficult enough to do it with Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jahmyr Gibbs was averaging 10 plus yards per rush. You think you're going to go any better with Saquon? It's probably going to be the same thing. It's just at that point, like, will the Eagles continue to run the ball? And the answer is yes, they're going to run the ball all 4 quarters. Saquon is going to touch the ball 25 plus times on the ground, regardless, I think, of how this game goes into the 4th quarter. But the Dan Quinn and his defense at this point are only hoping to contain and to win the turnover battle.
Yeah, and you look at the way, as we pivot to the Commanders, that Vic Fangio, the best defensive coordinator in the NFL, the way that he's talking about this 24-year-old quarterback is pretty remarkable with somebody of Vic Fangio's stature. Now, Fangio asked if Daniels was the best rookie quarterback ever, and he said, probably, yeah. And it's like, wow, what a compliment. I mean, from somebody like that. I'm going to scroll this on the bottom if you guys want to give that a look. That was Vic Fangio's comments. But yeah, no doubt, stopping Jayden Daniels is going to be as essential for the Eagles as stopping Saquon Barkley will be for the Commanders. Yeah. And when you look at the Commanders' record, when Jayden Daniels has like 70 or more rushing yards, I don't think they've lost. So there is something to that. And that's got to be a part of the game plan. Do the Eagles have the speed on the edges to contain him? I think they do. And I think they have the right guys to be able to get pressure up the middle. And it was very similar to the game plan when we played the Bills. It was like, you have to pass rush unselfishly, which like you have to keep your gap integrity and not worry about getting the sack, worry about plugging the gaps. Yeah. So if you see any quarterback run up the A gap, somebody messed up. You can't have the middle of the field as an option. You got to keep the edges and pinch him inside. without giving him a forward out. That's got to be the way that they go about this. Now, the clear favorite in this game I would assume, be the Eagles because of the experience, the fact that they've been there. Jalen Hurts, I think you're taking over Jayden maybe in this scenario. Jayden's already proven so much, but Jalen's been to a Super Bowl. So I'm not like going to just be like, well, let's throw that away because this new shiny thing's doing it. He's already done it. And he did it really fast. I mean, remember when Jalen Hurts came on the scene, like it was remarkable. I mean, it's funny. He's only 1 year removed from being like a undebatable top 5 quarterback in the league. He has one bad year and now he's back in the NFC Championship game. And I still feel like we drop people way too far. We don't realize how much more goes into winning than the quarterback. Yes, the quarterback is important, but so are the play callers, and so is how healthy your team was able to stay, and the depth of your team, and all of these things become factors. And the Eagles did it the right way, where they were able to build their team back up through the draft and get a team back together that was capable of going to the Super Bowl. And look where Jalen Hurts has them, right here, a game away. I feel like I just wanted to put that in there to just say I think Jalen Hurts deserves a lot more credit than he gets. Obviously, there's been no discussion of MVP surrounding him. Not to say that that there should be this year because of the statistics, but I think a lot of people are right now kind of excited about Jayden Daniels, and I don't think because I think people, when their team's out of it, just want to go with the best story, and the Commanders winning would be the better story. Would you say that?
Oh, 100%. It's a rookie quarterback, and the fact that Fangio said that, is he the best rookie quarterback ever? Probably, yeah. We got to remember too, like what Jayden Daniels is doing is a year what CJ Stroud did. He went from winning the wild card game into the divisional round, and we thought, wow, a rookie quarterback doing this is awesome. CJ Stroud was one offensive rookie of the year. We were talking about how he's going to be an MVP candidate in the future, and it's just up from here. And he still made the playoffs, obviously, but he also had kind of a down year. But the fact that Jayden Daniels is now a year later in the conference championship with a team that was, again, predicted 6 wins, were expected probably less, probably worse, just because of the product that we saw the Commanders were last year. It's the better story than the Eagles. The Eagles they've been to the Super Bowl. And again, I do give the edge here to Jalen Hurts and really that Eagles team in terms of like just the edge this game coming up, because of the amount of playoff games they've been to, that they've won. They've been in the Super Bowl. They've played the Chiefs tough in that Super Bowl. But it's still extremely impressive. And you know, Jalen Hurts and Saquon, I do like the Saquon story in Philly, especially with all the offseason stuff going on with the Giants, and Shane, the GM for the Giants, saying, yeah, no, we're not going to pay him. And then the owner being like, I couldn't sleep at night if he goes to the Eagles. And look what happened. They're in the conference championship. So they're both really, really good stories going well back into the draft, into the offseason. Like, these have been brewing since that time.
My doorbell just rang. 1 second.
Okay. So those stories with Saquon, with Jayden, have been brewing since those times in the offseason. Jayden, obviously, second overall pick to the Commanders in the draft, has had a stellar rookie season, and is probably going to be offensive rookie of the year. And he has won 2 playoff games in a row. Again, with the Commanders, who have not, we're not a good team. They've not been a good team for a few years now. And to be able to do that as a rookie, and to do it in such a calm, cool, and collected manner too, is impressive. And then you look on the other side, and it's like Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, all these guys that have been to the Super Bowl already and went toe to toe with the Chiefs. It's great that one the cast off is like this team that, oh well, they're it's kind of over. The coach Sirianni, blah 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 blah. Now they're back in the NFC Championship after being the number 2 seed, second best record in the NFC, winning the last 2 playoff games that they've been in. Now in the NFC Championship with another opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. And on the opposite side in the AFC, it's Bills and Chiefs. Maybe they go up against the Chiefs again, or maybe it's a brand new opportunity with the Bills. But that right there, and on top of all that, with Saquon being talked about in the offseason from Shane, saying we're not going to pay him that much. I don't know if he's worth it. Are we really going to run the ball? Are we going to have a $20 million, whatever it is, running back? Eagles take him. Division rival takes him. Absolutely wipes the floor with the NFC East for the most part. And these two stories are they're just great. They're just great. Nick saying he also ended the 19-year playoff win drought for the Commanders. That as well. Actually, I don't know. Was it 19 years? I thought they went with RG3, but if it's 19 years, like that is an impressive feat again, just to do that with a rookie quarterback. And again, Dan Quinn, who is a second-time head coach, came in, fixed everything top to bottom. We thought the offensive line was going to be one of the worst units for Jayden Daniels. Like even I said it. Like, is this offensive line going to be able to protect Jayden Daniels, the second overall pick? And they have, and that's why they're here in the NFC Conference Championship. Oh, win drought. Okay, I'm seeing what you're saying now, Nick. So, yeah, Kyle, I just these two stories are great on the NFC side. But you do lean more towards what's the better story: a rookie quarterback, a second-time head coach, and this team that everybody has written off for the last decade plus. Yeah, I think you got to go with that one in terms of how crazy it would be if they made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I think I want the Eagles to win. And
calling it? You calling it?
Oh, the Eagles are winning. Yeah,
right.
I mean,
I like it.
Yeah, the Eagles are going to win this game. I mean, look, this is like, okay, let me put it this way.
Let's do it.
In sports betting, the experts, the people that are really good at it, the reason they're so good at it is because the Commanders would be a perfect example of a team that the public loves, and the expert bettors would want to sell high. Okay? Because the Commanders are on a 2-game win streak. They just beat Detroit. Okay? Detroit's defense is not anything like what they're about to go into. The other thing is the game before this, the Commanders played the Tampa Bay Bucks. Tampa Bay, at this point in the season, I think that was a really good win. These are 2 good wins, but people will be like, oh my God, did you see what they did? And then they just oh, the Commanders are going to win the Super Bowl. Now that might be like an extreme, but that's what happens. And then you see money start coming in on the Commanders. The experts always keep perspective of the situation. They don't let themselves do that because this is a sell high spot for Jayden Daniels, in my opinion. This is not like, let's double down on this. Let's see how far this guy can take us. I think he did it. Okay, this is it. Now, one thing about him, he's not bothered by the big stage. He played nearly mistake-free football for 8 quarters now. He's led them to road victories both times. It's very, very impressive, but some of the success that he's had in those last 2 games is not going to hold up against the Eagles. I mean, Philly has the 6th most takeaways in the NFL, 26. They also when they played earlier in the season, the Eagles intercepted Daniels 3 times during the 2 games that they played. Okay. Now, to put that in context, Daniels has only thrown 6 interceptions in the 17 other games. So,
oh my God,
there is a really good defense that he's going to go against that he struggled with. That's going to be a lot better. We can't just be like, well, they did it to the Lions. They're going to do it to the Eagles, and we're going to remove really key factors like the defense that Detroit had was totally banged up. And there's no way that they're going to be able to do that against this because the Eagles the Lions got behind early and they abandoned their running game. The Eagles aren't, like you said, there's no abandoning the running game for the Eagles. So there's not going to be enough time for the Commanders to score 45 points. There's just not going to be. He's still going to have his passing game clicking, I think, for most part of the game. I think that he's still going to connect on a touchdown or maybe even 2 touchdowns. But what he won't be able to do is keep the interception column blank. And that is why the Eagles are going to win the game because they were going to have the ball it's very simple. They're going to have more offensive possessions than the Commanders when this game is over. And Saquon Barkley is going to run the football, and he's going to run it well. I mean, I'm saying right now, Barkley, 150 rushing yards in this game.
Ooh, Kyle's calling it.
Yeah, because you got to remember, Jalen Hurts is nursing that knee injury. I think they're really going to want to lean on him. I mean, like in this last game, he threw the ball. How many times did he throw the ball? I mean, I think
it was like 20 or something, 25.
Yeah. So I don't have it in front of me, but I would expect the Eagles to run it more than they pass it. I would expect there to be, which doesn't happen all the time. It's actually kind of rare, but I think that the Eagles could go into this game and say, we're going to run it 28 times. And that's just going to be the game plan. 26 times. And when you look at their last couple games that they've played without Jalen Hurts being banged up, they threw the ball only 41 times in their games combined, and they've had 51 rushing attempts. So you add in the injury to Hurts' knee, and I just don't think Philly's going to reverse course here. They're going to continue to do what they've had success doing, not just in the playoffs, but all season long. For most running backs, calling for a 150-yard game is pretty outlandish. But when I say it about Saquon Barkley, it's like, yeah, that's probably going to happen.
Yeah, more likely 100%.
This year, he is like the one exception to calling a 150-yard game. I mean, he's done it 6 different times this year. So when you have a running back that's done it for a third of their games, they've gone for 150 plus yards. Jesus. He's also done it 3 of his last 4 games. So this is becoming the norm.
Yeah.
When they played in the regular season, I mentioned this.
5 yards, yeah.
If you bring the Commanders games together, he ran for 296 yards, 4 touchdowns, 55 carries.
Holy
One more
shit.
time. 296 yards, 4 touchdowns, 55 carries. That's what Barkley's done to the Commanders this year.
Yeah.
Like Washington's going to have they're going to load up the box. They're going to force Philly to throw. I just don't think it's going to matter. I think he's just too hard to contain at the end of the day. And I think he's going to be the reason that the Eagles come out on top. I'm calling for a lower scoring game than I think people expect. I'm going to take the Eagles 17-24.
Ooh, okay. 17-24. I agree with the Eagles winning. I am going to take the Eagles to win this. They're at home. They've been here before in this situation. The coaches, the players, everyone. The only difference here for the Eagles is Saquon. And we've seen what Saquon's been doing these playoffs. And like you mentioned, the last 3 out of the 4 games, it's been over 150 yards for him, including last week against the Rams, 205 yards. So it's been crazy. Now, one of the other things that is very important is the Commanders have actually lost one of their offensive linemen, Carmi. I believe he had an ACL tear in last week's divisional matchup. That guy is I think, guard or tackle, and I believe it's guard, who lines up. Guess who lines up across from him, Kyle? Directly across from him on the defensive side for the Eagles.
I
got a hint. A Mr. Carter, and it's not Jay-Z. Jalen Carter.
Oh, yeah,
lines up right across from Carmi. That is going to be a huge issue because you're bringing in a backup, and while the backup, hey, maybe this backup's going to be good enough to be able to contain it. It's Jalen Carter. Exactly. It's Jalen Carter. Like, he's going to get through. It's going to be difficult for the Commanders to run the ball. And if we're being honest, the Commanders haven't really had a lot of success from games that I've seen running the ball. I mean, they've got Austin Eckler and they got Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson is probably your better running back here. Austin Eckler, very dynamic from outside of the backfield in terms of receiving running back. Very, very good at receiving the ball. That's kind of one of his specialties. So Jalen Carter is going to be very disruptive in the run and getting to the passer. Now, is Jalen Carter fast enough to get to Jayden Daniels? Fuck no. But to disrupt the passing game in that sense, to hurry Jayden Daniels, to make life living hell for Jayden Daniels is going to be great to what you mentioned, turnovers. Jayden Daniels doesn't really throw turnovers. He does honestly, it doesn't seem like he gets put under pressure by him having to move outside of the pocket. It just doesn't look that way. It doesn't seem that way from games that I've watched from Jayden Daniels, including the playoffs. But that's always a good thing, to put the quarterback under pressure. So that to me is going to be one of the biggest key matchups in this game, is how Jalen Carter is able to affect that offensive line missing an all-pro lineman from the Commanders. So that right there is going to be key. Now, the other thing I talked about too earlier was, can Dan Quinn come up with a defensive game plan enough to kind of do the opposite of what you're mentioning and actually win the turnover battle? Because they were able to do that against Jared Goff. Jared Goff, again, had one of his worst days playing quarterback. But guess who was there to make sure it was even worse than that? It was the quarterbacks, it was the safety, it was the entire secondary. It was that Washington Commanders defense to make sure that they hauled in those interceptions, that they picked up fumbles, anything, what have you. That's what Dan Quinn is going to have to focus on. We cannot stop Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley from having big explosive plays. Hopefully we can. But the thing we can do is, if Saquon's running in between the tackles, we can limit him to a yard, if not to the line of scrimmage. At least those little things, like, hey, show them, hey, we're there. And also try to see if you can get a turnover here, punch the ball out there, get an interception over the middle here. Because we know that the passing game for Jalen Hurts and this Eagles team has not been similar to what Jayden Daniels and the Commanders have been able to do. It's just not. It's like apples and oranges comparing that. So those are going to be the two biggest key takeaways, I think, for this game in the championship for the NFC. Ultimately, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going Eagles, man. I think they go to the Super Bowl again for the second time in 3 years, third time in, 6 years, 8 years, something like that.
Yeah.
When they won, when they beat the Patriots. So the Eagles, I think, are going to go to the Super Bowl again. I am going to go with a 30-27 score. Eagles take the dub. They get the dub in Philly, and they're headed to New Orleans. They're going to take a couple of weeks off and then be in New Orleans for hopefully what happens to be the biggest game of their lives and an actual Super Bowl win. We got Ginger in the chat. We got Nick in here as well.
Ginger!
And we got Rod. Just wanted to give you guys a quick shout out. But yeah, man, I'm going Eagles to take the dub and go back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Eagles are just really tough defense. Everything that you said, I think Daniels will adjust well. I don't think he's going to go out there and just totally shit the bed or anything like that. But
no.
I think when it's all said and done, what you said and I said, I think we're on the same page here. The one X factor, I want to throw an X factor out there in case there's any Commander fans watching. I'm going to give you an X factor that you can have some hope going into this game. And not to say that like this one is like there's no chance. It is not. It's a division rivalry. Anything can happen. That's my first X factor. This is a division rivalry. So we know how weird divisional games are. In the regular season, they're really weird. And then you add in the postseason, and yeah, anything can happen. The other thing is that the Commanders are playing with house money. They're not supposed to be in this game. They drafted Jayden Daniels, and they are very surprised. Even though, I mean, look, I was higher on Jayden Daniels than any quarterback in this draft class, and I'm surprised. So there's really like nothing more to earn, for Jayden Daniels. Like he did it. He's already done it. The Commanders, man, they stole the Lions' mojo. They stole their energy. They went into Detroit, into a place that was just like, mojo is the only word I can do. Like that vibe, that like it's so hard to steal a win in that type of atmosphere. And they were aggressive. They scored a ton of points, and they absolutely ripped the hearts out of Detroit fans. So who's to say that they can't go into Philadelphia and do it again? Because they just did it. So if you are a Commanders fan, the house money, nothing to lose, and the fact that your team just surprised you last week, I would still be a little optimistic, especially if Hurts is a little more banged up than we think. There might be a real opportunity to look up in the fourth quarter, and you guys actually have the lead. So just, and hey, the game's got to be played. The game's got to be played, and anything can happen. Daniels has the it factor. Beyond this year, he is going to be a serious problem in the NFL. Good luck, Commanders. Good luck.
Honestly, though, good luck. But you're right. I couldn't agree more. This season has gone on, and Jayden Daniels again has just wowed from basically beginning to end of this season. And, Nick here had said, like, the Commanders are just a year too early. I don't know if I agree with a year too early, because this is great experience for any quarterback, like any rookie quarterback.
3 years too early.
Honestly, and it might be that. Like, I know that the Commanders are going to build off of this, and they're going to bring in more personnel, correct personnel. You're going to have coaches from this staff be considered for head coaching positions, which is just like a testament to what Dan Quinn and this entire team has done for them, right? So all that being said, I think this is great for a rookie quarterback to experience. Like, you win a playoff game, you're going to lose one. You may go to the Super Bowl. If he does, again, it's going to be the greatest rookie season of any quarterback. And if he wins it, then it is, like you said, it is cemented in history as the best rookie quarterback season. So it's wowed me, but really, when going up against an Eagles team, no matter how much of a wow factor the Commanders have been having this year, when you're going up against an Eagles team that has been in the same situation with basically the same people, it's going to be tough to kind of go up against that experience. And you can ask everybody in the AFC side how tough it's been to go up against the Chiefs. year in and year out in the playoffs when you know that their floor, ever since Mahomes started as the quarterback, is the AFC Championship game. So it's difficult to do that. And that's why, again, you're saying good luck. I'm saying good luck to the Commanders. But ultimately, I do think the experience as well as Saquon Barkley wins it out for the Eagles.
All right. Next, the winner will be playing the winner of Buffalo going to Kansas City. This is the game America wants.
Mm-hmm.
This is the game America wants. Buffalo, I mean, as good as they've been in all the recent seasons, I mean, 5 straight playoff appearances, 4 straight AFC East titles, but they've only made it to the Super Bowl 0 times.
Yeah.
And they only have 1 AFC Championship game appearance in that span. So they're going to be, for Buffalo, anytime they play Kansas City, I don't care if it's a regular season game, there's revenge on the table because the Chiefs have been the team that's stopped, in my opinion, an actual dynasty potentially. That's how good Josh Allen is.
Yeah.
Buffalo could have won multiple Super Bowls by now had Patrick Mahomes been born in a different era. But he got lucky. Patrick Mahomes was born, and that is the guy that has been kicking him out every single year, it seems. The best playoff game I've seen in my entire life, the divisional game that went into overtime. I mean, that game was remarkable. When Mahomes had 12 seconds left and got his team down, kicked the field goal. I mean, that was just such a wild game. There was like 28 points scored in the final 4 minutes or something. It was insane.
Ridiculous.
The Chiefs, they're pretty much business as usual. They're appearing in their 7th straight AFC Championship game. They're 4-2 in the last 6, including 3 Super Bowl wins. They're going for their first three-peat, the first three-peat in NFL history. But before they can do that, they have to beat Buffalo. And Buffalo has to beat Kansas City. This game is automatically the game of the week. As cool as the story is, like Jayden Daniels is a cool story. The Washington Commanders are a cool story. This game's personal. This game's personal. That automatically makes it better, in my opinion. This game is going to be played in Arrowhead, where the fans are extremely loud. This is a stadium that was designed architecturally to echo noise. That's why they in Seattle go back and forth with the decibel record. I expect it to be very loud. I expect it to be a really good atmosphere. Now, breaking down the analytics of this game, there's a ton of wins between these two teams. You got 31 wins between the two teams just this year.
Jesus.
The Chiefs went 15-2. Right now they're 16-2? Wait, 16, 17-2? It looks weird. You're like, what? That is just crazy what they've been able to do, and they could have only had 1 loss. I mean, they played their backups, so I don't know what would happen. So just let's not give them an extra win, but let's take away the loss, and let's look at this team as a 1-loss team all year. And the 1 loss came against Buffalo.
Yep.
The Bills just beat the Ravens. It was I don't know what there's moments of that game where it wasn't super pretty. Buffalo gave up over 7 yards per play in this game, but you got to keep in mind how dynamic Lamar Jackson is. The Chiefs don't have what the Ravens have offensively. They just don't. So I'm not too worried about the Bills defensively in this game. I do think that the Ravens would have done that to just about anybody, to be totally honest. And the first time the Bills lost in the regular season, they got blown out by the Ravens. So it just tells you that the Bills are clearly a different team from when they played earlier. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
So which team do we trust? That's the question. We got what we believe is the better team in the Bills, but we have the most trustworthy pick in the Chiefs. And it's like, if you just like said, I don't really care, I'm just going to bet on the Chiefs every single time, and I'll just, when I'm wrong, I'll just be wrong, you would still be like the best percentage better in Vegas. You would be like at 80%.
Stay winning.
So there's actual bettors that have adopted this philosophy. They look at these games and they just don't care. They take the Chiefs. And they're like, if I lose, I lose. I've already won 6 of the last 7. So there is like a trust that we have with Kansas City that we don't have with Buffalo. But then what compensates that is that there's a feeling towards Buffalo that it's their time and it's their moment. And this may be the best opportunity they've had since Josh Allen's been the quarterback. So who do we trust? Okay. A couple data points of the season I think will shed some light here. The Bills won 30-21, giving the Chiefs the first loss. Buffalo had 107 yards. They ran 71 plays. Kansas City only ran 52. So they dominated the game. That's domination when you run 20 more plays. The Bills had 5.2 yards per play to 5.0 for the Chiefs. Both teams had low or long scoring drives. There were 8 total in the game, and all but one of them was at least 62 yards. So it was very methodical for both offenses. It was not big plays. It was long, timely drives going the distance of the football field. It's crazy to think KC was outgained on a per play basis this season. But what could change during the season right now for Buffalo is that Mahomes and the offense do not seem like they are hitting their stride at the perfect time. Just not from my perspective. I feel like with the weapons that they have, I mean, you brought in DeAndre Hopkins. You drafted Xavier Worthy. I really did think that there was a world where by this time of the year, Xavier Worthy was going for at least 80, 90 yards a game, and DeAndre Hopkins was getting around that same amount, and Travis Kelce was coming back, and then they have P. Ryan, but they also have Kareem Hunt as well with Pacheco. I mean, there was just a world that had Kansas City's offense operating a lot better in my head. Now, Kansas City, though, they may not be a big splash team right now, but they were one of the most efficient teams in the league. Like, they do go on long drives and take a bunch of time. And yeah, the numbers aren't huge at the end of the day, but when you watch the game, it doesn't feel like Kansas City is getting a bunch of 3-and-outs or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Mahomes, though, he had 11 picks in his first 10 games. He had 9 picks in his first 7. He hasn't been that great this year. And I'll say it, the interceptions have been there. And when you look at how much he's been sacked this year, I believe it's more than any year that he's played. So the offensive line hasn't been there for him the way it normally has. Yeah, you have stars on the O-line. But you also have Jawan Taylor, who's like an absolute nightmare of a tackle.
He's a penalty just waiting to happen.
I don't know how this guy gets these big contracts. I really don't. Like, his numbers aren't good. It's like did he rescue the whole NFL out of a burning building? And they like
he rescued Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell.
It doesn't make any sense. I think this game, as much as people are like, yeah, Buffalo's a better team, we're going to go with Buffalo. I feel like in this game, it's not going to be that way. It's going to be a close game, and it's going to come down to the wire. That's the way it has to be. I'm sorry. Yep. I don't know why. I haven't understood it this whole entire season, and I don't think it's going to change in the AFC Championship game. This is going to be another game where it might even feel like Buffalo should be blowing out the Chiefs, but they only have a 10-point lead, and the Chiefs are going to come back into the game and make it a game, and it'll be a game, and then it's going to come down to a turnover or a special teams play. Mark my word, that's where this game is headed. Who's going to make the play? Allen only has 6 interceptions to his name, and he only has 1 pick in his last 7 games. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that the turnover is going to come from the Bills. I think it's going to come from Mahomes. I'm taking the Buffalo Bills to beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
And finally
do it. Finally do it. And I'm sorry, but as cool as a three-peat would be for Kansas City, there's a reason it's never been done. It's not because there hasn't been great quarterbacks. Trust me. There's been elite quarterbacks. But you run out of gas, you run out of fuel. I mean, I was going to say Denver went back-to-back, but then Elway retired. So maybe there could have been a three-peat, maybe not. We'll never know. But Tom Brady couldn't do it. I mean, Tom Brady's kind of the gold standard, and he couldn't do it in all of those years. Even though I feel like there was years he went to 3 Super Bowls in a row. I remember years thinking that Tom Brady was in the Super Bowl every year. I think 2017, 2016, 2018. I don't know why I went in that order. 2016, 2017, 2018. I'm pretty sure he was in all those damn Super Bowls. I think he played the Rams, he played the Eagles, and then he was a Buck. I can't even remember all the Super Bowls Tom Brady was in. But he never won 3 in a row, ever. So I don't think Mahomes is doing it. Now, if the Chiefs were, and I think right now Mahomes is a better quarterback than Tom Brady. I do. So I'm not trying to say if Tom can do it, Mahomes can do it. But the reason I am saying that this year is because I understand now how hard it is to win 3 in a row. Why is it so hard? Because it's hard to keep a Super Bowl team together. Winning 2 in a row is absurd, right? Winning 3 in a row is next to impossible. And when you watch Kansas City play this entire year, it shows you why. Do the Chiefs look like the Chiefs? Everybody has been waiting for the Chiefs to start losing. That's not a feeling that you have with a team that's about to win the Super Bowl. It's just not. If Kansas City looked like they did the year they played the Eagles in the Super Bowl, I wouldn't be sitting here going, they're not going to do it because no one wins 3 in a row. I would be like, they're going to do it, damn it. But this year, I mean, I would be in awe if after the way this whole season is, I mean, and really the first game of the year with the Isaiah Likely having the toe out of bounds, wasn't that just a little sneak peek of what was going to be the Kansas City Chiefs' entire year?
Kyle's saying it. It started from game 1, he's saying.
Is it possible that there will be a toe out of bounds for Buffalo?
Oh.
Is it possible that the Chiefs will once again find a way to get it done as they always do? Rick, help me out. I'm going Buffalo. Talk me out of it, or tell me I'm right.
Oh, God. This is Bills Ravens. This is what this game is. It's a difficult one to really kind of have a hard stance on, because you can look at both of these teams and really make an argument for both. And that's kind of what you've been doing in the Chiefs. I'll start off with the Chiefs because it's the much easier route to go. 2 Super Bowl wins, 3 in the last 5 years, whatever, 6 years. This year, offensively, I feel like during the regular season, it was worse than it was last year. And we thought last year was kind of rock bottom for the Chiefs, right? But this year was, Mahomes clearly had a much worse year individually. But when you look at the game they had last week against the Texans, I understand that DeAndre Hopkins didn't really have or make that big of an impact on the game, or really, I mean, I feel like in the last few games for the Chiefs that he's played in, like his name hasn't really popped up. Xavier Worthy has made some plays, and as a rookie, you would, with all the injuries that's happened on the wide receiving core of Kansas City, you were like, okay, he's going to do something. The biggest factor here is the heating up of Travis Kelce. Again, he had over 100 yards. He had 7 or 8 receptions, whatever it was. He was always there, and he had that touchdown. He was always there in crucial moments for Patrick Mahomes. And while it's crazy to think that he can't do this in the regular season, he does do it in the regular season. It's just not to the effect as big as it is in the playoffs, because him and Patrick Mahomes have been together for the last 6 years as quarterback, tight end. Travis Kelce knows what Patrick Mahomes needs from him in certain situations, when he has to scramble out of bounds or out of the pocket, when he's moving left, when he's moving right. Okay, this is a broken route. I'm going to try to get out of it. I'm trying to get separation. And that is just the relationship that they've built. It's almost like they're reading each other's minds, it seems like, right? And it does seem unfair. It really does, because I see this and I'm like, why do no Bears wide receivers do this shit in certain situations? They just follow their route and that's it, right? But Travis Kelce just has a knack for this. And so it's like a sixth sense that they both have. Like, Patrick Mahomes is out of the pocket. Travis Kelce's looking back and he's like, oh shit, now it's time for me to make a move. He had over 100 yards. He had that touchdown, was there for crucial plays. It's just the Chiefs offense saves it for big moments. And they've had big moments throughout this regular season. And again, we talk about how they've won 15 games and they beat the Texans last week. We can talk about the flags. We already did that. We'll see how this AFC Championship game goes. But that is the winning formula for them right now, man. DeAndre Hopkins may not play a big role. Xavier Worthy may not play a big role. Kareem Hunt may not get a touchdown or more than 50 yards, but he's going to have big third down runs or big first down runs. Like, they are just spread out. That is what this Chiefs offense is. It's not necessarily that it's not consistent. It's just, it's not consistent in terms of the players. It's not an individual play. The only individual and the only constant is Patrick Mahomes. And he had barely 200 yards last week, right? So it's picking their spots and crucial spots in order.
Under 200.
Yeah. Okay. So under 200, like if he didn't even have 200, it's like they pick their spot, and those spots that they pick are just game changing. They lost the time of possession last week against the Texans, I think by like almost 10 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, something like that. But they won the game. They were outgained in yards. They were outgained in time of possession. They were outgained offensively, just in total. And they came out of that game with a win. Now, obviously, we have to credit the defense and the type of disruption that they caused CJ Stroud and that Texans offense. And you're damn fucking, you better damn know that they're going to do this against the Bills. They're going to try to get to Josh Allen, punch him in the mouth and be like, no, bro, we're here. We are right here. Karlaftis, Chris Jones, whoever, McDuffie will be there on defending passes. They're going to be there, and they're going to try to establish that force that the Chiefs defense is, whether it's stopping Cook from running the ball effectively, whether it's keeping Josh Allen in the pocket and not letting him do anything with his legs. They're going to want to enforce their will on this Bills team. So it's not on the going back to the offensive side. Again, it's not like this like consistency. It's Travis. Now it's DeAndre. Now it's back to Travis. Xavier Worthy has a 40-yard explosive play. It's they pick their spots, and it's a different person every time. And for the most part, it's worked for them. You could look across the NFL and it just doesn't work for people like that. Usually they got their tight end, their number one wide receiver, and their quarterback is slinging it, and they got a great offensive line. Jawan Taylor, not a good offensive lineman, and yet they still make it work, which is just like puzzling to me. But the Chiefs, man, they have this black magic. They have this aura about them that it just all works out for them at the end. Now, going to the Bills, I want to start off with their defense. Taylor Rapp is nursing a hip injury. One of their cornerbacks, I think, is out for this game. So there are some things that you're going to be missing on the defensive side for the Bills. But that defense has been pretty damn good this year as well. Now, one of the negatives you can take away from last week against the Ravens is they gave up 7 of 10 successful third downs against the Ravens last week. You can't do that to this Chiefs team. They're going to eat you alive. 70% conversion rate on third downs. This is where they pick their spot. This is where Travis Kelce's open down the middle of the field, and it's a quick 7-yard strike from Patrick Mahomes when he's horizontal in the middle of the air.
But I will say, though, Baltimore was the second best third down team in the NFL. And
yeah, that too. Yep.
They converted 50% of their third downs on the season. Tampa was the only better team. Shout out Liam Cohen. 51%. But Kansas City was third at 47.9, 48%.
There you go.
So
and that could be a huge factor as well, is like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 5. The Chiefs are going to have the confidence to be able to do that. And it's up to that Bills defense to shut them down. Yeah, it's going to be a tall task.
Kansas City converted 36% last week, third downs.
Wow.
Offensively.
Wow.
While let's see, Buffalo went 45%.
Mm-hmm.
So
third downs are going to be huge in this game. Huge in this game.
Huge.
And we talked about the time of possession of the Chiefs too. I think that is going to be a huge factor as well. But the Bills defense, they've got some guys on that defense. Rapp again is nursing a hip injury. Rasul Douglas on the outside. Von Miller came up with a turnover, a fumble recovery, and I think he put some pressure on Lamar and oh man, what's the other guy's name? The other defensive guy, I'm forgetting the name right now, but Poyer, I think, or not Poyer. No, who was it? I'm thinking of someone else. Anyway, I can't remember the name right now. But that defense is going to have to really step it up because they know the history, man. They know the history. The Chiefs are 3-0 against them in the playoffs. 4-4 all time, head to head. But where it matters most is 3-0 in the playoffs, and they know what they have to do. Third downs are going to be a huge problem for them. Now, offensive side of the ball, it's Josh Allen. Josh Allen does not turn the ball over. He does not. So this may have to come down to does the Chiefs defense make Josh Allen and that offense turn the ball over? Is this also going to have to be a winning of the turnover battle that can get whoever is going to win this game victory at the end of the day? Maybe, but it's going to be a difficult task for the Chiefs defense. They can put pressure, but Josh Allen doesn't turn the ball over. And we've seen that from the regular season. We've seen that right now in the postseason. Josh Allen, first few years, gunslinger. A lot of interceptions. This year, it just seems like he is a man on a mission, not turning the ball over as much and doing everything himself if the situation calls for it. Now, he's got Khalil Shakur and Keon Coleman and Amari Cooper, and obviously Cook to run the ball too. But the thing about Josh Allen is that he is able to take over the game if the situation calls for it, or even if the game calls for it. And he is one of, if not the best at doing that at the quarterback position. And he doesn't do it with his arm. He does it with his legs as well. So again, the Chiefs defense is going to have their hands full against Josh Allen. So this is a difficult one, man. Again, this is Ravens Bills from last week. It's a difficult game to predict and really kind of like be sturdy in that decision. And at the end of the day, I think all of it being said, I'm also going Bills. I'm taking the Bills to get to the Super Bowl. I think they're going to get the upset win. I say that in quotes. And I think Josh Allen finally gets a win against Mahomes in the playoffs and gets to the Super Bowl, ending the possible three-peat that the Chiefs were going for this year. It's gonna have to be the Bills defense forcing a turnover somewhere, whether it is prying the ball away from Hunt or Pirine, or intercepting the ball from Patrick Mahomes, who's been susceptible to interceptions this season. And it's going to just be to making sure that, one, they're very careful around Patrick Mahomes and making sure that those big plays on third down are effectively shut down. I'm going with the Bills, man. I'm going with Josh Allen. I'm going with the Bills. I just want to inspire confidence in the Bills and Bills Mafia to have that confidence going into this game that they're going to make it out of Arrowhead alive and head to the Super Bowl for the first time since the 90s. I'm going Josh Allen Bills, baby. Bills Mafia, let's go.
Whew. It's going to be it's going to be crazy. I got something weird for you. Are you ready for this? So I
don't want to see your balls, Kyle.
All right. Well, that wraps that up. So you mentioned Buffalo and controlling the time of possession. This is crazy. Okay, the top team in the league, as far as time of possession, this is excluding overtime. The Philadelphia Eagles, 32 minutes and 12 seconds.
Okay.
Number 2, Detroit, 31 minutes, 46 seconds. Then you got Tampa Bay, 31 minutes, 41 seconds. Miami, 31 minutes, 36 seconds. I mean, we're just dropping 4 seconds here. Number 5, Houston, 31 seconds, 13. Baltimore, 31 seconds, 12. Dropped 1 second there. Washington, 30 minutes, 56 seconds. And then we get to Buffalo at number 8. 30 minutes, 34 seconds. This is very close.
Yeah.
Now, Kansas City, I said Buffalo's at 8, 30 minutes, 34 seconds. Kansas City is at 10, 30 minutes, 31 seconds. There is 5 teams tied at 30 minutes and 31 seconds. Kansas City, obviously. Green Bay. Cincinnati. Makes sense. 4 teams tied. Tennessee.
What the fuck?
We go
what
through
the fuck?
That is remarkable because you know what that tells you? Tennessee's defense is way, way better than we think.
Yeah.
They were the number 1 passing defense. The only way it's possible, because Tennessee was 26th in yards per game.
They were bad.
One of the worst offenses in the NFL. Yet they are tied with Kansas City, Green Bay, and Cincinnati in time of possession because their defense just kept getting off the field and sending the offense back out there. Yeah. That's pretty wild, right? But, I mean, you look at Kansas City and Buffalo, in the time of possession is 3 seconds. That's the difference. The average on the year, 30 minutes 34, 30 minutes 31. That is going to be, I think it's going to be balanced. I think the numbers back it up. I don't think any one of these teams is going to dominate the time of possession in this game. I think
Nick's asking, he's like, are you sure you don't have a different Tennessee, Kyle?
I know, right? It's so weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Jacksonville and Carolina are 32 and 31. Indianapolis, New Orleans, Seattle, weird. Jets, New England. But anyway, so I think the under is going to hit.
Oh, okay.
I think the under is going to hit. The line's at 47.5 points. I feel like the under is probably even the safest bet in this game. It's not even a team.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
Because I think a lot of times even when their offenses are super dynamic, it's like 14-10 at halftime. And then maybe one team scores 3 in the third quarter, one scores 7, and then it's like you got this 17-13 or something like that. And then maybe like 17-20, and then finally you get to 20-23. I'm getting Buffalo 20-23.
Oh, field goal game. What is the over under right now?
47.5. So it'd have to be 24-24 to hit the over. So 24-23 would be 47. They got it at 47.5.
And you've got 23-20. So that would be a total of 43 points. I think the defenses are good on both sides of on both teams. I just man, I do want to hit the over. I think I would hit the over, and I'm going to make this even closer. I think it's going to be a 28-27 game.
Yeah, I almost did the 23-24. It's still the under.
Yeah.
But I think it would be weird to end that way because I really do feel like it's going to be tied. But maybe, do you think there's going to be a 2-point conversion in this game?
Ooh, good question. I think, you know what? I think there will be. And I think the way the Bills get the 28 is because they're down 27-20. They get, it does make sense because that's the only way they'd win. Yeah. 28-27. They're down 27-20. They score a touchdown, make it 27-26, and they say, fuck it. Let's go for it. Let's go for the win. There's a couple minutes left on the clock. Kansas City gets the ball back, going down to score, and the defense makes a stop.
I was going to say there's a 2-point conversion. I was going to say Kansas City is going to have 13 and Buffalo's going to have they're going to have 3 field goals. So they're going to have 16 points. And Buffalo's going to have 17, and then they're going to score a touchdown and have 24. Then Kansas City's going to score, and then it's going to be 22-24, and they're going to go for 2, and they're not going to get it. And the final score is going to be 22-24.
Oh.
But then I thought, isn't that the exact score of the Ravens-Bills game? Am I just
27-25? Yeah.
Oh, okay. No. Then I'm gonna stick with it. I think I'm feeling a 2-point conversion in this game. I think there has to be one.
Yeah, I was gonna say it could even happen the other way around. Like the Chiefs could go for the 2-point conversion
to make it a 2-possession game if they're up 8,
or for the win and they don't get it. Yeah, something like that.
Or like, what if one team scores and the extra point would give them an 8-point lead, but if they don't kick the extra point. They have a 7-point lead. So they decide to go for 2 to try to make it a 2-possession game because there's only 5 minutes left.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So if it's 20-27, they just score a touchdown. Touchdown, Josh Allen. It's 27-20. And all of a sudden, Josh Allen goes
2 balloons.
And then you go, wait, why are they going for a 2? An extra point would make it an 8-point game. And it's because there's 5 minutes left, and they know if they convert that, it's a 2-possession game with 5 minutes left. But they don't get it, and the final score is 20-27. Final.
Shit. Nick's hitting the under hard, 17-13, grand scale, underwhelming game of the decade. Nick just wants to see the world burn.
I can really see it.
Nick just wants to watch the world burn.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game. I don't think there has to be a ton of points scored for it to be a good game. I think that they're going to go on long drives. I think Kansas City's going to have to settle for field goals. That's what they are going to. Their offense, I mean, they'll go on long drives. Are they going to score on all of them? I don't think so. I think they're going to have to kick at least 3 field goals in this game.
Okay. I like that. Well, thank you guys so much for hearing our thoughts out here for the Championship Sunday. Kyle and I actually agreed on both of these games, which is weird. I don't like it.
Give me the Chiefs and Commanders.
Kyle's like, yeah, just for the lore, let's go. I'm going Chiefs. I'm going with the C team.
The Chiefs find a way
to
get it done. Chiefs win 31-28. Hammer the over.
I don't like it, but we're going Eagles Bills Super Bowl matchup. Kyle and I are both going to be here for Championship Sunday, happening in just about 5 days or so. So make sure to tune in here to the Only Football Podcast, where we're going to be live streaming those games, and hopefully be right with the Eagles winning, because it's Commanders and Eagles first, and then I mean this is how it's got to be. It's got to be Bills Chiefs for the for the Sunday Night Football. What was that? The 3?
Oh, I did the 2 in balloons, and my ADD was like, I wonder if 3 does anything.
What about 4? Does 4 do anything?
No.
Guys, like, don't think I'm weird, but
it's
5.
Just 2. Okay. Let me
All right.
double check 1. There's 1. But a thumb does. All right,
Kyle. Let's get into it.
Top 5, no debating. Top 5.
Top 5. Kyle? Top 4. There's only 4. There's only 4 teams left. Here in the playoffs, obviously going to Championship Sunday. So only 4 teams left. Let's talk about who we've got for our Championship Sunday, or who we have at number 4 for championship. Let me get this banner going so that way we can write it down and then just scroll it there at the bottom. But let's talk about the remaining teams. We have got the Commanders, the Eagles, the Bills, and the Chiefs to rank. Kyle, I think you started off the last time we ranked, so I will go first. At number 4 for me, I think it's kind of the easy choice. It's the Commanders for me. What they've done is impressive. They've won 2 games in a row, playoff games with a rookie quarterback, a coach who is on his second team, but first year on the second team, with a new ownership group, new everything. Terry McLaurin's still there. A lot of guys that have been on this Commanders team are still there. And yet, this seems like a completely different team in terms of the Commanders that we've seen the last 2 to 3 years. I think we can all agree on that. What they've done is impressive. The way they beat the Lions last week was also very impressive. But in terms of the talent and the experience going into Championship Sunday, I've got to put them at number 4. I'm going Commanders, number 4. Uh-oh. I don't like that sigh.
I got the Chiefs at 4.
Oh my God. Kyle just coming in hot.
I gotta put the Chiefs at 4 because I think that if the Chiefs won and the Commanders won, I think I would take the Commanders to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
I think at that point, the Commanders would have proven enough to me for me to feel like very confident, to be honest, in that. I don't think, I mean, if the Commanders were to do that, that offense would at that point be way more dynamic than Kansas City. And I don't see Kansas City getting past Buffalo. I got to keep in mind all Kansas City's done up to this point is beat Houston. And I'm not going to act like that's not a big deal, but compared to beating the Packers and Lions, it's lower on my chart.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Buffalo, they beat the Broncos and they beat the Ravens. Kansas City is the only team that hasn't proven anything to me in the postseason. So I have Kansas City at number 4.
All right. You're wrong, but number 3 for me. I'm actually putting the Chiefs here at number 3. I agree with you to an extent, and that is that the Chiefs beat the Texans with a little help from their friends in the striped shirts. I will say there was a couple of those that I think the entire NFL community agrees on that were called in their favor. But they've played one game, Buffalo, the Eagles, the Commanders, they've all played 2, and they're up to this point now. But the Chiefs, again, on their quest for a three-peat, they've been here before. They make big-time plays when they need to. Mahomes is floating and throwing touchdown passes to Travis Kelce in the end zone. Kareem Hunt came out of nowhere and scored a touchdown. So the Chiefs are able to get these guys and plug and play them, right? Like, even though they're big name guys, DeAndre Hopkins being one of the guys they acquired, and even Hollywood Brown this past week, they haven't made huge splashes. It was Travis Kelce and it was Kareem Hunt and it was Patrick Mahomes, but their defense is just so damn good. And that's why I think, again, kind of taking into what you were saying about the Commanders, I think that's the reason I'm putting them above the Commanders, because their defense is so overwhelming to teams. And we saw what they did to CJ Stroud in that offense last week. That's why I'm putting the Chiefs at number 3.
And number 3, I'm putting the Commanders.
All right.
I think, I mean, all season long, Dan Quinn and Jayden Daniels, they've set a tone for this team. And I think that Washington football has arrived, and it's going to be hard to see them dropping from the ranks of contenders anytime soon. This is the new standard. I don't think that it's a perfect roster like you mentioned. There's some spots and some holes. But then again, the 2001 Patriots, the 2011 Giants, you remember them? They came in as a wild card. The 2020 Buccaneers, I mean, all those teams overcame very similar limitations because they had a quarterback with a low pulse and a great coach. And Dan Quinn is a damn good coach, and Jayden Daniels seems to not even realize the type of games that he's playing in, because he is just out there slinging it and having a good time. Who's to say that they can't beat the Eagles, get into the big game, and pull off a similar triumph that all those other teams have done? I mean, the Commanders are the new NFL darlings. They're the new Lions, and they're the team that everyone's going to be cheering for. The Lions, when they were the NFL's darling, wasn't so much this year, it was last year. And we know how last year ended. But if the Commanders pull it off, it would be crazy. It could even go a similar way where the Commanders have a big lead.
Yeah.
In the third quarter, the Eagles come roaring back. I'm seeing a lot of similarities between these Commanders and those Lions.
Ooh, okay, all right, here we go. He's starting at number 2 for me. I'm going with the team that's been there. The team that everybody, for the most part, wrote off before the season even started. Me included. Not necessarily wrote off, but not the division winner like they were. Going with the Eagles at number 2. The Eagles, again, after last year's basically, a meltdown that was the latter half of that season, they came back and won the division. Again, making sure that the NFCs did not ever be division winners since like 2008 or whatever the fuck. They came back with the addition of Saquon Barkley, which, in my opinion, has saved this team from kind of bottom barrel type of ignorance, from the entire NFL community. Is like, yeah, they come through the Eagles. Obviously, it's more than that. It's Jalen Hurts, it's A.J. Brown, it's Jalen Carter on the defense. It's getting Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell on that defense and making sure that they plugged the right players in the spots where they needed them the most to put them where they're at now. The addition of Saquon Barkley was huge, and he is probably, in my opinion, has made the biggest difference on this team. And I don't think that's a hot take at all. I think a lot of people are saying that. He has made the biggest difference on this team, and offensively, I think this is kind of what they needed after they kind of went over the running back room from last year, getting rid of DeAndre Swift, so on and so forth. Saquon Barkley was the spark plug to kind of get this all back into the level that they're at now. And they've been there. They've been to the Super Bowl. They've been in this situation in the NFC Championship. They just got to win one more divisional game against the Commanders. I've got the Eagles at number 2.
Yeah, I got the Eagles at 2, and I think I would have put them at 1 if Jalen Hurts didn't get injured. To be honest,
yeah.
I know that they're saying that Hurts is practicing without limitations. I don't know. I mean, you could see his mobility was compromised.
Yeah.
When he came back into the game, it was evident when he took the safety. He would have never taken that safety.
True.
And then there was like a 4th and 4, where I think he threw it to AJ Brown, but there was another short yardage where they didn't do the tush push, and it's like, what?
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, those are all really good signs. You're right. Yeah.
So I mean, I think he's a little. I mean, you saw the slow-mo of that bend backwards. I mean, he's hurt. That looked like it hurt. I don't think he's just better. I just think he's tough. So I don't know if there's those limitations are going to potentially cost their season, but I got to put him at 2 because of him. But Jalen Carter, man, he reminds me of Warren Sapp, because Warren Sapp, you'll never believe this. The guy was supposed to be a number 1 overall pick, and he drops to like 30 or something because he smoked pot. Can you believe that?
Oh, Warren Sapp?
Warren Sapp.
Oh, okay. I was like, Jalen Carter? No.
He fell way down the board because everyone's like, oh, I think he smoked marijuana. Are you sure?
It's like a Laramie Tunsil situation.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God. What Jalen Carter was the consensus number 1 overall pick. And all of a sudden, this racing cars comes out and somebody was killed. And it was a horrific thing that happened. But Jalen Carter went from not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. And you're just like, how long can this happen?
Yeah.
And the Eagles were just like,
yep.
Boom. We'll take the number 1 overall pick at 9. I mean, they have gotten away with the most outrageous draft picks in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at last year, because of a run on quarterbacks, and there's not a defensive player taken till like Jared Verse at what? Like, I don't even know. 13, 14,
something
17?
like that. Yeah. 11, something like that.
Well, the Broncos picked at 12. I think they picked Bo Nix at 12. So
Yeah.
there
Was
was
Jared
not.
Verse taken first, or was it the guy from UCLA?
No, it was the guy that went to the Colts.
Yeah.
Hawaiian name. I
Leatu
think.
Latu.
Yeah. Okay, but the point is that defensive players
They fell.
In any other normal year,
Mm-hmm.
they fell. They would not have been available. And the Eagles were able to get 2 of the top 2 corners.
Yeah.
I mean, that just does not happen. It doesn't. That they don't get those corners in any other world. They don't get Jalen Carter in any other world. They don't get these guys that they normally get on a regular basis, and that's why they're here, man. Look at Jalen Carter. He absolutely wrecked the Rams, like you said. Their offense was destroyed by Jalen Carter. He had a big first half sack that forced a massive fourth quarter fumble. Then he forced that fumble on Kyren Williams. He actually called the game on the final 2 snaps, sacking Stafford and then getting pressure on the 4th down incompletion. Like, just one guy just destroyed the game. Yeah. So, I mean, I think when you look at it, like, if Hurts was healthy, I think you could make a real argument that the Eagles are the best team in the NFL right now. As good as Buffalo's been all season long, and I've been a huge fan of it, really. I just think that the Eagles, from a talent perspective, and some of these younger players that are really hitting their stride, you're talking about a top defense and a top offense, but more importantly, a top defense and the best running game the NFL has seen in maybe a decade or so.
Yeah.
I just don't know if anybody's better than the Eagles, but Hurts is hurt. So I got him at 2.
Hurts.
And we have the same number 1.
Is hurt. Let's do it, Kyle. 3, 2, 1. Bills. The Bills are our number 1 ranked team going to conference championship Sunday. I mean, what else do you want to say about the Bills, guys? Like, it's Josh Allen doing everything with his legs, with his arm, not turning the ball over, taking over games. The defense is doing well, above expected going into this year. Again, we go back to the preseason, and everyone, and including ourselves, were like, I don't know about this defense, and really maybe even the Bills as a whole, because this could be one of the bad years for the Bills because of the amount of people and players they lost. And yet, here they are in the conference championship. We got a Chiefs fan in here saying clown show. I love it. But the Bills have honestly, like, when you take everything into consideration, they're punching above their weight class, really. Lame white boys. I'm Mexican, first of all. How dare you put me in the white boy situation? Chiefs easy three-peat. But Kyle,
Chiefs easy three-peat.
Chiefs easy three-peat. But Kyle, yeah, Bills at number 1. I don't think it's crazy to say that.
No, it's absolutely not. I mean, look, Josh Allen's playing better quarterback than anybody in the NFL right now. I mean, anybody besides Chiefs three-peat, easy three-peat will know that. But
cheesy three-peat.
But at the same time, it's really important to realize that it's not just Josh Allen's play on the field that what he's done that has made him the best quarterback in the NFL. It's what he isn't doing. And for so long, Josh Allen has been a turnover machine. Here's a guy that just can't stop throwing interceptions, and you trust his arm too much. He's throwing it. He just had those Josh moments, and you're just like, what are you doing, dude? And there was one. The new version of the quarterback was on display, and it right there on the goal line. I know you remember this. We were watching it together. Josh Allen's running the ball. He gets stuffed at the line, and he thought about pitching the ball back to James Cook. Yeah. And there was a brief "no Josh" moment. And it appeared for like a half second. He really did think about this. And then maybe the old Josh Allen would have been more likely to try that stunt and actually let go of that ball. But this version of Josh Allen understood the potential consequences that were at stake, and he decides to not do it. And they preserved the chance for Tyler Bass to kick the field goal, which ultimately would give Buffalo the winning margin in this game.
Yep.
This is how important not making those type of plays are for Josh. I mean, look, in all reality, am I blowing this out of proportion? Maybe Josh just looked back and it looked like a good option, and then he realized it wasn't, like all of us. We all felt that way for a second. We're like, oh,
we all do that. We've all done that in backyard football. We're like, fuck it.
Yeah. And for a second, it did look like maybe there was something there. I mean, you don't want him to stop looking, right?
Yeah.
So you can't judge him too harshly when he does, but he ultimately made the right decision. And we're so used to him making the decision, whether it's right or wrong, good or bad, we're going to do it anyway. And it's just good to see Josh kind of take that next step in his career, because this is what he needed to not do in order to really get to the final phase of Josh Allen. I mean, this is the final evolution of Josh Allen, the perfect quarterback, and he figured it out this year, and that's why Buffalo is the best team in the NFL.
That's why we both got the Bills going to the Super Bowl. That's why we both got the Eagles going to the Super Bowl. Check down there on the ticker who Kyle and I ranked 4 all the way to 1 in our championship Sunday top 4 rankings. And Kyle, that was
top 5, no debating. Top 5.
Top 4. Kyle, I think it's time for the mother, for the goddamn motherfucker.
Welcome to the Chives with Kyle. Blah!
Don't do that.
Sorry.
That was so fun.
Got into me there. Get down!
Oh fuck!
Run! Ricky! No!
Oh shit.
Vic Fangio is my chives today. Vic Fangio is my chives. Why am I bringing up Vic Fangio, Rick?
Because he's a former Denver Broncos head coach?
Yes. No, I think there was something that everybody kind of forgot that I wanted to bring back just for a second.
Okay.
Because I think it's interesting. Now, I haven't seen this like on an article or anything. I just remembered it. This is me. I remembered this, and I think you're going to love this. So,
let's go.
Vic Fangio gets fired from the Broncos. We all remember that, right?
Oh, yeah.
But do we remember what his next job is? He would take with a team 4-year deal, a big chunk of money. Do you remember where he went?
If my memory serves me correct, it was Miami.
Yes. You are right. He ended up signing he was the highest paid coordinator in the NFL.
Oh God.
He signed a massive deal. Okay, but rather than pack up and move to Miami, Vic Fangio spent 2 weeks in Arizona.
Ooh.
More specifically, at the Philadelphia Eagles team hotel, helping the Eagles coaches and players get ready for the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah.
He signed a 2-week contract with the Eagles. And after he decided to leave the Dolphins and go to the Eagles, I never brought this up one time. That like, oh yeah, there was a relationship with the Eagles. It made sense that he went back to the Eagles.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there had to have been an established relationship there, because we've never seen a coach sign a 2-week contract. I've never seen it.
That's the weirdest contract ever.
Very weird. And it's crazy because like Fangio's never won a Super Bowl. And if he would have beaten the Chiefs, they almost did with Jalen Hurts, he would have gotten a ring for a 2-week contract. Dude would have got a Super Bowl ring. It would have been pretty wild, especially as a Bronco fan if it came from them beating Kansas City.
Yeah.
But now he is an Eagle full-time, and if the Chiefs pull it off and the Eagles pull it off, once again, Vic Fangio will be game planning for the Chiefs like he did 2 years ago on a 2-week deal. But this time, he's calling the plays and he's calling the shots, and maybe there will be different results. Maybe it won't be. But either way, it's just kind of a cool circle of life moment.
That is a really cool wrinkle, and I had completely forgotten about that as well. And I feel like at the time we had like mentioned it, but kind of getting caught up in the whole like Super Bowl's coming up, you know, he's going with the Dolphins, blah, blah, blah. It was almost like when Vrabel this past season was an advisor for the Browns, and then he worked with the tight ends, I believe, at one point or something. It was like, oh, okay, this was unexpected, but still like, a part of like history, you know?
Yeah, like if the Packers would have won the Super Bowl.
Boo.
If the Packers would have won the Super Bowl, then I'm blanking. Who's the Jets head coach that got fired? Robert Saleh would have got a Super Bowl ring.
I forgot about that as well. I forgot about that as well. Daniel Palomares, Bears regret not getting Daniels. No,
you're gonna have this question until
the
Commanders
next season. I'm gonna have this question asked until Caleb and the Bears win a Super Bowl. I'm going to get this question.
What do you want him to say? I mean,
yeah, I know. Yeah. And I had made this clear because they remember a few weeks ago, I was like, hey, I want to bring something up back in like week 5, week 6. You had asked, you're like, hey, would you take Jayden Daniels knowing everything that's happened? And I said, yes. And then I was like, I want to clear up that no, I would not take Jayden Daniels over Caleb Williams right now. I still wouldn't. Jayden Daniels is having an amazing season. And guess what? One of the podcasts I listened to, part of my take, Big Cat was saying, he's a big Bears fan. He's like, Jayden Daniels on the Bears would not be Jayden Daniels on the Commanders. It would be Jayden Daniels would be ruined on the Bears in his first year. So no, I don't want Jayden Daniels over Caleb Williams, regardless of whatever outcome is to happen in these playoffs.
The question is, would Caleb Williams be in the NFC Championship game on the Commanders?
Oh, I think so. That
would explain your position. So,
yep.
There you go.
Cliff Kingsbury. I think so, dude.
We'll find out. You know, and even after 3 years, I mean, look, if I was a Bears fan, I would say yes, because I feel like with Caleb Williams, like we won it. With Jayden Daniels, it's like, oh well. He's just more certain than any quarterback in the draft class right now. He's right, because he's proven more than any quarterback in the draft class. So if I just had to be like, I can just like do a swapperoo, which doesn't exist. But if I'm actually the owner of the Bears and I want to do what's best interest in my team, I'm probably being like, okay, like I'll take him, and then, you know, I'll take Lad McConkey, and I'll take, I'll take all the best performing first rounders and ditch my guys. Sorry.
It's like, can I take Joe Alt? Can I take Joe Alt as well? Yeah, bring him over here. Here's 10 million.
But like, and even after 3 years goes by, if like Jayden is doing this every year, it's not like if the Bears go to a playoff game and lose, and then go to a wild card and win, and then lose in the divisional, and the Commanders go to 2 NFC Championships games in a row. It's not like you're going to be like, yeah, I want Jayden instead of Caleb. Like, there's a love that happens when your team drafts a quarterback. That relationship between your guy there's a loyalty there, and it supersedes logic.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And with Ben Johnson being the coach now, like, it's the Bears are moving in the right direction. I'm not going to get too much more into it here towards the end of the show. I think I'm going to make a video, though, about the press conference with Ben Johnson and just like everything that this means for the Bears going forward. So watch out for that. Other than that, thank you guys to everyone who is here for tuning in. We really appreciate you guys tuning in here. Daniel, Chiefs easy three-peat, even though he decided to call Slim. Nick in the chat. We had Rod. We had Jinja. Everyone who was here, even if you didn't comment in the chat, we appreciate you guys being here. Go and follow us on X at and now Rick and at NFL with Kyle. Go follow the Only Football Podcast at Only Football Pod. We go live on X, here on YouTube, and on Twitch. So go make sure to follow us on all 3 platforms, or whichever one you prefer to watch our live streams, and we would really appreciate it. Hit that like button before you get out of here. We would really appreciate it if you did. Bump up those numbers for the stream. Bump those numbers up. These are rookie numbers. We got to get those numbers up.
Rookie numbers in this
bracket. So thank you, guys.
Bump those numbers up before Russell Wilson signs his multi-year contract with the Giants.
It's no, Kyle. This is what's gonna happen the day after the Super Bowl, or in March when free agency starts. Kyle's calling it. He's going to New York.
Oh yeah, and Justin Fields is going to the Jets. It's gonna get weird.
Oh, it's gonna get so weird. Can't wait to talk about that soon. But we gotta get through these playoffs, and of course the Super Bowl in New Orleans. Again, thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate everybody who was here. And Kyle, always a good time, brother.
Always a good time. Tyreek Hill is going to be a Raven.
See ya!